Right. Hello? Okay. Hello, is anyone there? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. Who's talking to me? Ah, the previous island's gone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me, to start again. Let's try number one. I don't really understand either. You're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. Oh. I need to see it to know why it stopped. I can take you to it.
If the
but there's a
last
problem.
game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression.
Deal.
And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because, from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Hey, I recognize this. First you have to open the door. Maybe this is slightly different. Now what? Now you have to close the first door. Here we are in the sort of unspace. Now just close the first door. Now just open the first door. Now just press the switch here. There we go. So simple.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
These are all of my answers, aren't they? I think so. What's that horrible crying noise? Gasping noise. What are you talking about? There's no machine here. Trust me, you'll see. That's a horrible noise. You'll have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say that game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. Okay, making games is simple. Oh, that feels wonderful. But it wasn't true. Don't worry about it, just keep talking. Okay, I won't worry. Keep saying that creation is easy. It is easy, it never stops being easy. That's wonderful.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it...
Keep going.
...really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like... video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
Wow. It's quite intense.
I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to
This is the
explain
key, but it wasn't true. I'm thinking 10
I
by
wanted
12.
it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
Whoa. Here we go again. I'm free. I'm free. Oh, Lord.
But
Girl
it didn't stop.
crying on the bed.
After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
There's some really weird sound effects in these games. That gasping in the last one. Horrible. The machine. Here we go again. God. Ma'am, glad to see you've arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. What the hell? Whoa, 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 whoa. Ah! Here we go.
And of course, it's the machine.
It's almost kind of... What? These noises, so horrible. It's kind of dual personality, isn't it? You stop feeding us. I can't deal with these noises. It's horrible. What should we say? What shall I say to myself? You stopped feeding us. Your work was keeping us alive. Your work was keeping us healthy. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you've put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through every day. So here's what needs to happen. You need to go to the people who are out there and apologise to them. You have to admit to the people that you allowed them to suffer. Let's just be truthful. I've been so alone. Apologise for leaving me. You're constantly put into awkward conversational corners. No, nothing. Think carefully. I know how to hurt you. I've seen the thing you fear. No, nothing. Alright then, I will apologise to the people on your behalf. Okay, here we go. This is a different place. Wow. My followers, my friends. I'm trying to be nice here. It falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine will not apologise to us. The machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us show it that we are not failures. Oh no, I don't want to do either of those things. I don't want to destroy the machine or destroy everything the machine has created. Let's destroy the machine. Wow, okay. Back into a theatre. Wow. Wow. This is horrible.
Remember, you can click to fire the gun.
I know, but I'm conserving ammo. Ah! I'm destroying... I'll make sure your work dies here. I'll make sure you are known forever. I'll make
So
sure...
now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral?
This is
Would it
really
give
horrible.
confidence in himself? Would it
I don't
bring
like destroying
meaning
all this
back
stuff.
into his work?
Let's shoot our way out of here. Oh no. I think I'm stuck. I think I have to destroy this stuff. But I feel really bad about it. Whoa. Here we go.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
He keeps referring to Coda as a guy, but didn't the machine mention her earlier? And wasn't there a girl crying on the bed? Maybe Coda is female. Okay, I can't control anything. I can't move or move the gun. Oh no, I can only fire.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? 'Cause
Yes.
it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Okay, so our narrator, I can't remember his name, he seems obsessive about the tower, obsessive about Coda's work, and he's really desperate to. It's really desperate for him to be recognised, or her to be recognised, or for her to get pleasure from the work that they are making. Is our narrator connected to Coda in some way? Are we talking about... Is the relationship between Coda and the Coda machine the relationship between between the narrator and Coda? I don't know. Horrible sound effects.
And
darkness.
This is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
Yeah, it's really horrible. Still jump though, you can still jump. Wow, this is such weird kind of buildings and landscapes, and this whole... The music is absolutely horrible.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Whoa. What the...
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Okay, let's try and... Actually... No. Down here. No. Okay, so I can get quite far this way. Oh, no. Okay. There we go. This is horrific. The noises are horrific. Is this Coda's reaction to being put in front of...
fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed
other
some
people's
modification
eyes?
to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
151617. One 151617. Wow. Okay. Horrible rock grating on rock there. These are always fun, aren't they? Falling down into a empty space that you can't see.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. but I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
There's the switch. Yeah. Weird. The narrator's becoming quite
Was I a failure for not understanding this
self-reflecting
game?
now. Quite
I
self-reflective.
don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
Yeah, we've seen those 3
And he
dots often, haven't we? Yeah, our narrator's becoming obsessive about this person. Very obsessive.
I just felt so strongly
Wow.
that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
Yes, so our narrator, I think his name was David. David's obsession has probably driven Coda away, if in fact Coda is a separate person to David.
Where did I screw up?
And he can see the interest in Coda's work, and he's upset that he can't reproduce it himself. Wow. Dear Davey, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Wow.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at times whether you think I'm making these games for you.
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere hidden between games. Okay, so we have a obsessive stalker of a narrator who has basically driven Coda to get very upset about everything. If there was an answer or meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe. What's that noise? What is that noise? Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them? Would you
And
simply...
then you stopped.
Let them be
And I
what
didn't
they
have
are.
anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing.
When I'm around you, I feel physically
What
ill.
does that mean?
You desperately need something and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. Yes, I think that might be true. I realise that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine, you're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I'm talking about... Is this just a void? Oh no, I can walk across. Don't say anything. When you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything. Darkness. Oh dear.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work. Is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Oh God. I think that might be... No. Epilogue. Yeah, this is taken a horrible twist, doesn't it? So it was Davey putting the lampposts in all along. Here we are. This looks like a kind of train station or something like that. So Davey put the lampposts. So what was the significance of the lampposts? Light, seeing the light, something like that. I don't know.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
On we get, I suppose. Train carriage without windows.
Solution.
Wow.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Perhaps he does. So Davy is driven
Even now,
Coda
the
away
disease is telling me to stop.
quite horribly.
Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Rooms full of rock, dust, dirt. Blank frame. Darkness. I don't want to go in here. Okay, what's this? A kind of underground cave? Are we in one of Coda's games now, or are we in a Davy game? It's like a
If I knew
underground
that my life depended on
car
finding
park,
something to be driven
but-
by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
Yeah. So we're just heading towards the... Okay.
What now? I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Okay, so have we been abandoned as well? Are we back in some kind of... the very first game was the... Well, the very first thing was a Counter-Strike map, wasn't it? Kind of desert town with random blocks everywhere. Is this a kind of Davy's attempt at that? Or Davy's interpretation of something similar? Ha! A wooden shaft into the ground. Yeah, it's a weird point, but a good point. On a strange game. I think we have one thing left to do, dear viewers, and that is to... we've been abandoned by... Davy was abandoned by Coda, we've been abandoned by Davy. Poor fella. Here we go then. Okay. What will we see? Are we back in the train station? Are we on some sort of endless path to nowhere? Can't even press shift and run. Bloody hell. Can jump and crawl. What? Thunder. Ah, it's the Whisper Machine engine power core, or whatever they called it at the beginning, from one of the very first games. It was the second one we played. I think the message is quite obvious, isn't it? Throw myself into it. Kill myself for the good of everybody else. That was what was asked at the very beginning. If you throw yourself in, it needed some kind of energy force or block or something to throw itself in and save the ship from complete meltdown. So I think Davy's suggesting that that's what we do. Is that what he did? Oh well. Let's do it. Oh. I survived. Oh no. Ha! It's the bug. The glitch. The floating glitch. Wow. Wow.
Turn